Happy Friday! It's Sharon Rogers, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. If I'm not your demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator if you don't have one. Simply contact me, stamperhood@gmail.com, and I'd love to get you a catalog or answer any questions that you have. However, for those of you that do know me, you know I usually am live on Friday nights, but the campground that we have secured a spot for the next 3 weekends has a camp and store program. So we can bring it up the first weekend and we can leave it parked there for 3 weeks, even though we only are allowed to go up on the weekends. But that just allows us not to have to travel back and forth home each week. So we're leaving the camper up there at the campground that has lousy Wi-Fi. So I'm recording tonight. It is Tuesday night, and I'm recording for Friday, and I will have it go live on Friday night. So it will still sort of be a Friday Night Live. But we are going to talk tonight about changing the colors that you use with a particular stamp set to make it extend far beyond what you might consider its normal season. We'll be using Forever Fern, which is typically, you think greens for ferns. Typically, you might use that for spring and summer, but just by altering the colors, just like I showed on my Tuesday Tools, Tips, and Technique post on Facebook, just by altering the colors, you can certainly change it to a different feel for a different season. So let's get started. We are going to start with a card base of Early Espresso. Now I've already cut a sheet of cardstock in half. I cut it at the 4 1/4 mark, and it's going the long way, and scored it at 5 1/2. All these dimensions and supplies will be listed on my website, stamperhood.com. So go ahead and check that out. This video will reside there as well. Once I've got my card base scored and folded, we're also going to be using this cork specialty paper. And this is new. It is in our July to December mini catalog, and it feels a lot like cork. It has that same kind of texture, but it's very, very thin, like paper. Cuts very nicely. I'm starting with a piece. Well, I'm going to cut this down actually so that it measures 4 by 5 1/4, which would be the standard measurement for something, a layer that just goes on top of a regular card. So you can see that it's just leaves an 1/8 of an inch border. But we're not keeping it like this. I'm actually going to put it in my paper trimmer, and I need to decide how I want this to be cut. I'm going to cut it on an angle. So I'm putting it in here, and I'm seeing that there's probably, 1.5 inches there, maybe 2 inches. And up here between the track is about the same. Doesn't have to be exact. And if I cut that, I'm left with 2 different pieces. And they're quite similar, right? I did one beforehand, and I cut it on the opposite diagonal. And so you can see the difference here. It's just a matter of which way it's going to go on your card. So let me show you how easy this card is. And it's just a great, simple fall card. Could be birthday, sympathy, thank you, anything that you want it to be. I've got a piece of very vanilla cardstock here. I've actually got 2 pieces, and these are just scraps. I'm going to be using the Forever Fern set. I'm going to take my smaller scrap here, and I'm going to get out a couple of stamps. I want this one, and I want this one. Actually, I'm going to use this other stamp as well, because why not? Let's use as many stamps as we can. I'm going to get a block out. And for this first larger stamp, I changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead with my larger scrap here. I'm going to be using Mossy Meadow. So I think Mossy Meadow combines nicely with Cajun Craze and Bumblebee to make a nice fall trio of colors. I'm going to stamp this large one back here, and we'll roughly have it go straight up and down. All right. Now you can start and you can keep this with a rectangle. We're actually going to die cut this so it's got a little bit more interest, but certainly this card will look really great if you just leave this as a rectangle. I'm not intending that because some of you may be able to notice that there's a score line at the bottom just because this is a scrap piece of paper. Let me clean my stamp so that I can use another stamp on that block. And let me get out one of my other stamps. Let me get out this fern. I'm going to go back to my scrap here and my Bumblebee ink pad. That's an in color from our 21 to 23, nope, 20 to 22 in color series. Get my years mixed up here. That's just a really, really pretty shade of yellow, or almost gold. And lastly, I'm going to take what I think is eucalyptus, but I'm not quite sure. I'm going to ink that in the Cajun Craze and also stamp this on this scrap. All right. We've got all that scrap stamping done, and I just stuck my finger in the ink when I was closing the pad. Not looking at what I was doing, I guess. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our Forever Flourishing dies, which go with that Forever Ferns set. And I'm going to take the die that cuts out this piece and the eucalyptus piece. And I try not to bring in more than one set of dies, but I'm going to bring in the Scalloped Contours dies. And this goes with another set that we have just because of these two flowers. But this set of dies is worth it just for these scallops, for these scalloped rectangles. It's one of those kind of staples. It just adds so much interest to a card to have something that's, you know, not just straight edges. We're going to cut that one out as well. So let me go ahead and bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we are going to need our number 1 plate. Number 1. We need the number 2 thin die adapter. We need a number 3 cutting plate. Time for some new plates, Sharon. And I did just get some. But I think that's actually the top. And then another number 3. So we'll put one number 3 down. And I'm going to line this up. And remember, the hint here is we try to not send that whole flat edge through at the same time. So I'm going to turn it. I'm going to put this one on. I'm going to be able to get all these things die cut in one pass. I'm going to line this up. And I can actually see the ink through those 2 little holes, so I know it's lined up very nicely. See if I can do this one without disturbing the first one. And I think I can see those lines as well. I'm going to put the top plate over, trying not to disturb. How we've set things up. Let's see how we did here. Well, I knew that one was going to be okay because I wasn't actually cutting anything out. Oh, and these look great as well. Set my dies aside here so I can put them away afterwards and not lose anything. right. Now I'm going to take this and I want to assemble this together. So I just need to figure out how I want those on there. Something that like that looks pretty good. So do I want to raise it up a little bit? Nope. I think I'll want it like that. So we'll put some adhesive on the back, just regular adhesive, because we're going to use the dimensionals on the back of the scalloped rectangle. And I think I want to see a little bit more leafy green showing there. So there we go, something like that. We will take our dimensionals and get this layer ready. Sometimes when I have a long rectangle, I like to actually put an extra dimensional in the middle. Just keeps it from kind of sinking in sometimes. Let's get our pieces back out that of how we started. So I need to grab my card that I made. And that's going to go there. And see, this piece is going to go right in the middle. And if you don't like it, the angle on going that way, if you would cut the angle the other way, you'd have this. You can put the angle there. It really doesn't matter. It's really the same kind of thing. I'll show you the difference at the end. I'm going to put my regular adhesive down here. Try to make my 3 borders the same down here. It's so cool how that feels. And now for this, I can either center it or I can put it off to a side. So I could have it off to a side, which makes it kind of interesting as well. Or I can put it in the center. I am not going to go with a sentiment on the front of this card. So that is why I'm actually going to center this. And now we can add a little extra something. I could take a piece of this bumblebee ribbon. We also have bumblebee in grosgrain, not grosgrain, gingham, one of those G words. I think this one gets lost a little bit in the cork, which may be actually the look that you're going for. But for that reason, I want to brighten up the card a little bit. I probably wouldn't use this particular ribbon if I were making a sympathy card. It's a little too bright, I think. A little too bright and cheery. I'm just going to play with the bow until I get it the way I like it. That's pretty good right there. Notice how I did the bow while it's still on the spool, so I don't waste any on that end. And I'm just taking a little bit off this end. Now I need some glue dots, or a glue dot. You might take your pick tools around here somewhere, but honestly, because I've been camping, I've been kind of not around to clean up my space, so it's kind of a mess. I'm not going to be looking for anything right now. And so so my bow is a little bit off to the side, which is fine because things slant that way. And that kind of adds a little bit of interest to the card as well. So pretty simple, easy card front. Of course, we have to dress up the inside. And so let's go ahead and I'm just going to cut a piece that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. That's my standard layer. And I'll bring back those same stamps. Now I had this little strip of cork left over too. I think what I might do, I think it is, let's see, it's almost 1.5 inches. So if I cut this into 2 pieces here, I have 1 piece that could go here if I wanted to. I could have a piece up at the top as well. I think I don't know. I could have a piece that goes just like this. You can do whatever you want with the scraps. I think I'm going to go ahead and put this on the bottom. And I could leave it just like that without any stamping. Before I do that, I'm going to decide I will stamp though. So let's go ahead and just add in, I'm not going to add in a lot. I'll probably just do this eucalyptus piece right here. And I'm going to put it over on this side right here. Again, I don't really know what I'm going to use this particular card for yet. If I wanted to make it happy birthday, obviously I'd put the sentiment up there, or whatever I'm going to do, I would put the sentiment up there. And I don't think I really like the cork that wide. So I'm going to actually go over here and split it again, just so it's, let's see, 3/8 of an inch maybe. A little bit goes a long way. There, that's perfect. While I made one of these cards in advance, I only made the front in advance. I didn't make the inside. So right now you're watching me play along and figure out what I want to do. And we will add a little bit more seal to the inside layer. And there we go. Just a couple of announcements for you. Let me go ahead and turn the camera around. Ooh, before I flip the camera around, I forgot. I promised that I would show you the 2 different versions. So this was the angled cut this way, and this one is the angled cut the other way. It is not true that if the opposite of this one results in this one. So the missing piece does not produce this one. Let me show you. So this was the other piece here. If I turned it around, see, it's still got the same angle. So if the angle matters to you, you need to cut accordingly. Celebration is coming to an end. You have until the end of September, and then all the celebration items go away. Also, World Card Making Day. I hope you're going to join me. It is on October 2nd. Get a friend to join you and stamp with you. If you have a friend that's never stamped but maybe has wanted to, or you think might really like it, invite them over. You just need a few supplies, and I'll be sending out another email with those supplies so you can have them ready. But basically, you need 3 colors of ink. You need probably 3 sheets of cardstock, like a base, a neutral base, so either basic white or very vanilla, and 1 coordinating sheet of cardstock that matches one of the inks, one of the 3 inks. And then a stamp set that has medium and large, small and medium size images. Preferably not ones that you have to color unless you really like coloring. But we're going to be doing a project that you'll be able to create a bunch of cards all at once with just a few supplies. So I hope you'll join me, and I hope you'll invite a friend. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, don't forget, this Sunday, just 2 days from now, we have our second Sunday of Christmas episode coming up, and that will debut at 3 p.m. on Facebook, on YouTube, and most easily on stamperhood.com, because that will have the list of instructions and supplies that you'll need, as well as the video there. So I hope you'll tune in on Sunday as we explore some fun packaging and gift-giving ideas throughout from now until, I think, the first Sunday in December. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you next Friday.